Yes, officer. He has violet hair and a very long coat. Yes, I do understand you have to come down hard on him, as kidnapping a panda is a very serious felony. Give him one for me. Thankfully, no recap this week, and we continued right where we left off with our heroines checking out Kirsta, and backtracked one account who seemed to have food fairy clairvoyance and even drew illustrations of them. Well, either that or they just stole some of Toy's NFTs. And Rosemary, as it just so happened, was already ahead of them as he needed to feed the last of the fairy partners. Yeah, no build up for this former ace of Joey Wheeler. They were just awake and hungry, I guess. Oh, and of course we did this gag again. So wait, the last part of their name is Mendragon? Oof, that's gonna be confusing with a certain other character. Also, yeah, I'm gonna totally stick with calling them that because I think it sounds way cooler than Men. Anyway, they entered the ramen shop where, of course, Ron was working alongside her family. Said shop had a very clear motif to it and even seemed to invite that certain clientele. Like, seriously, we did get some interesting backstory for Ron's family and everything, but I couldn't concentrate on that because... guys, there's a panda there. You're just gonna ignore that? There's a panda there. Okay. But yeah, they confirmed that Ron could see the food fairies, and I guess assumed that she wasn't working for the bundles because she made good noodles. I don't know, they didn't really clarify, which I don't mind. I mean, at least they didn't over-explain anything like... I mean, come on, the very next cut showed us that they forgot Mendragon, so why even tell us? Thank God this was the only time the narrator spoke in this entire episode. Ron tried to return the little lizard, and in the process, ended up finding out about its little secret. Miku, that's your girlfriend's catchphrase, as well as the surname of your soon-to-be partner, as well as the fluffball's name. Jeez, this franchise is a weird obsession with Comrade Vulcan, doesn't it? Though seriously, I wouldn't be surprised if Yuka Iguchi just threw that in as a reference to Nodoka because she and Aoyuki are big Hibiki and Miku shippers. Anyway, she did bring up a good point that Mendragon hiding their identity was kind of pointless since she could already see the food fairies. So the two quickly bonded over ramen, and of course other obvious reasons coming up. Still, it wasn't quite time for that, so they exchanged plushies, and then we got some decent world building from Rosemary explaining how the Kirsta hearts that surrounded them every time they ate good food were byproducts of people enjoying their food and thus attracting the fairies. Could have used this intel a little sooner, as well as a few other things, but oh well, at least we got it now. And speaking of that social media platform, Gentle also turned out to be one of Ron's followers and had come up with a new plan. Also, geez girl, you're not gonna update to at least a 10 at this point? Anyway, as it just so happened, Amane decided to interact with Ron at this time and only acted the slightest bit sus. But yeah, going by Amane's suggestion about how to gather more food fairies, Ron convinced the parents to do a half-off meal set for the day, which seemed to pay off, though they were a little short-handed. So, off-screen, they somehow roped our protagonist into helping serve. Thank you, unpaid labor! But yeah, since they were meal sets, that meant that along with the ramen fairies, they also drew in the fried rice, egg roll, and my preferred ramen side dish, the gyoza fairies. Thus, I did feel bad when they were captured by Gentle. Oh yeah, this was a trap by Gentle, which I have no idea how she managed to set this up. I swear, if this all turns out to be like some sort of big red herring and Amine and Gentle are like twins or something, I'm gonna flip out. Anyway, because of this, Ron's family shop lost all their customers for the day, which I know they'll recover by the end of this episode and everything, but still, if this were even the slightest bit realistic, they would be on the brink of closure if a few dozen Yelp reviews said that their food was mid. Still, realism aside, this did lead to a nice little arc for Ron in this one episode. Well, actually...
客が楽しみにしていたのは半額という値段じゃないのか?
Yeah, that. But yeah, this did lead into what could end up becoming the strongest character intro for this core trio. As while she did have good intentions, Ron still had next to no knowledge about the food fairies, and yet recklessly tried to gather them at her shop without considering the possible repercussions of doing such. And yeah, while rejected Persona 5 character is a little unpredictable, she was still playing with supernatural forces that her family now literally had to pay for. And all of this having started from her social media, which I think the show is trying to subtly caution its viewers about the dangers of such online platforms that I think a lot of us are familiar with at this point. Hell, judging by the next episode preview, they're going to continue this commentary, which I'm looking forward to, and overall, yeah, I gotta say, Ron and her arc about learning from her mistakes is winning me over. Anyway, she joined the fight that was in progress against a Ramen Strainer monster that had 6 fairies, making it by far the strongest enemy they had to face so far, so Ron had to bring her A-game. Index, you think you could wait until at least Toma arrives before you go into John's pen mode? But yeah, after over a month's delay, we got not just Ron's Precure debut, but also the surprising OP-ness of Mendragon. Like seriously, are we sure we need the magical girl and not Spike Jr. here? Well, anyway, her transformation, I guess, was my favorite of the 3. I mean, I think overall, they're all pretty much on the same level, as they all kind of go through the same beats of first eating the partner, and then they just reappear to dress them up. I mean, I think they're all unique enough from each other, but they also don't have too much outstanding either. Ron gets a little extra for me for one, having a design that I still find to be the best, as her trying to dress motif is the most visible amongst her team, and this good smug face, because if you couldn't tell, I like smugness. There was also her final pose, which, wait, I know this one! Damn, that first season was just so good. Anyway, while Yui was getting requiemed again, Kokone and Ron worked together to defeat the monster. Though again, with 6 fairies, this wasn't going to be an easy fight. I mean, if they were to defeat it with just one attack, that would immediately go against all of the previously established rules, which they were already kind of stretching and... What even is power scaling anymore? Don't get me wrong, I do really like Ron's finisher here, if only because it reminds me of a certain other very unfortunate yellow magical girl, but come on, they established that this monster had super speed at the beginning of the battle, and yet all of a sudden it can't dodge even though it wasn't stunned or anything?
The answer is don't think about it!
Anyway, the episode ended with our heroines officially befriending Ron with nicknames and everything, and revealing that she was the social media poster, as if that were any sort of secret, and really, who gives a damn, because I still want to know what's the deal with those counter pandas? That aside, this is still a pretty good debut for one of the most unfortunate yellows in the entire franchise on multiple fronts. Ron herself is an extremely charming character, and it's clear that Yuki Guchi is having a blast playing her, and more than likely really wants her to meet Nodoka. I also really liked how they incorporated social media into all of this, that's even going to be followed up in the next episode. That said, it's not perfect, as the fight, even with some cool moments and Ken Ueno animation, it did feel a little rushed, especially at the end. I mean, I know they say you should eat your noodles quickly, but I really don't think that should come at the cost of breaking power scaling. It really is unfortunate that it took over an extra month to get a proper introduction to this really fun character. Hell, because of that, and her natural butt monkey status, Ron is likely going to be remembered as the mimetic loser of this team, even though there is a lot more to her character. I certainly wasn't expecting her social media to play this much into her character, and saw it mostly as just a cheap advertisement for this franchise's real Instagram, which it still kind of is, but more so, it's been a major plot point for Ron so far, both acting as a trigger to becoming a Precure, as well as Gentle's victim. It's a rather clever allegory on the pros and cons of social media that can help you make new friends, but also leave you open to being taken advantage of. That is some good writing, as well as what they're clearly focused on, because the actual lore building throughout the show so far has been rocky to say the least. While I can forgive them not talking about the hearts immediately, it is becoming frustrating how there's no consistency with the power levels of the Ubalzo and how many fairies they have. But I guess because they were running out of time, they had to kind of break their own rules, which is a shame because again, this was a Ken Ueno animated episode. And while he was still able to give us some good slice of life sequences, it's clear he wasn't afforded all he wanted to do with this fight. Hopefully, this show will fix up these lore issues, as at least stuff like the intrusive narrator seems to be slowing down at least. And overall, even with those questionable elements, this was still a really good intro to the character of Ron Hanamichi. Like a good ramen, it was frustrating that we had to wait this long, but at least it had some unexpected layers of flavor that kinda made up for the wait. Hope everyone had a happy Easter last week, and for those who didn't celebrate the holiday, well, at least you didn't have to look for any leftover hidden eggs. For now, we're working on some actually fun surprises for everyone, including part 2 of the Tropical Rouge manga review, as well as a few other things as my work schedule allows. So look forward to that. And until then though, farewell for now my friends, and if you want my advice for ramen, buy one of these small little Korean pots. They're really good. I mean, you can actually cook and serve the noodles in the same pot. In fact, I think that's what I'm going to do because this episode kind of got me in the mood.